The cure, then the disease. Which do you think came first? The cure or the disease? Well, obviously, it was the disease that came first, and then came the cure. But in modern society, it's almost reversed in many cases. First the cure, then the disease. What do I mean by this? Well, today lots of people have issues that people didn't used to have back in the day. And that might just be because they died earlier. But still, they lived lives without these problems. Like people didn't used to wear insoles. They didn't used to have flat foot. They were perfectly well adapted to the environment, right? They didn't have glasses, probably because they didn't need them. They were just fine, right? Um, Today, and I'm sure this will be studied, and is already studied to an extent, uh, it will be exposed that many of these technologies that we think are, you know, at helping society or having it move forward is actually retarding it, is degenerating it. Right? So you create a disease like um, fast food filled with very high sugar levels, fat, and so on, and then you give people a $97 fat loss program, and you give them diet coke, right? I am myself guilty of this. I have a diet decaf coke in my bag right now. That's how bad the situation is. um it will say, all right, I will give you security against the elements, but you have to be a slave to me for the rest of your life. It will say, you might have to work till you're 75 or 80, but I give you a pension, which I've always thought of as blackmailing, essentially. um it will ruin people's hearing, right? There's loud music blasting all over the goddamn place. uh Many places you go to, like bars or just YouTube and other music apps, the volume is way too loud, and people are not really told about the dangers of that. So it might well be that today's generation will be deafer and deafer, more and more deaf, and more blind. Uh, Now, I don't want to talk about that because I don't really understand the science behind it, but I am sure there's something with looking at fucking tiny screens all day. That must fuck up our eyesight, right? It must fuck up our eyesight. And so then that's another solution we give you then. The, you know, the cure then the disease, right? We say, all right, we're gonna blind you and then we're gonna give you glasses. So don't worry, we're gonna give you prescription glasses, so it's okay after all. Even though we have fucked you up, uh, it's okay because we'll give you glasses. You'll be just fine. Don't worry about it, right? So they sort of reverse the order. They should be giving us cures, but what they're really giving us is the penance itself, the disease itself, the sickness itself, which they disguise as a wonderful accomplishment, right? And this is what the philosopher uh, Carlo Michelstaedter, uh, if you want me to type his name, I will, said over 100 years ago that our organs will essentially fail because they will no longer be used, right? He makes this comparison between somebody who's riding in a train through highlands like mountains and stuff, and he spends his time arguing with the conductor about the ticket prices or something, and on the other hand you have a wild guy who's a bandit or whoever, just a free guy who's riding around in a horse, right? He's out there in the mountains using all his might and power and intelligence, all the quivers in his legs and the quivers in his arms to move the horse the way he wants to, exercising almost perfect control over the horse while at the same time being outside and enjoying all that power and nature. On the other hand, the guy on the train has no power. Right? If something goes wrong with the engine, or if something goes wrong with the with the train system, the train will crash and everybody might die, right? Might get derailed. It might crash into another train. The conductor might, the train engineer, whatever it's called, might fall asleep. All kinds of terrible things can happen. So he has given, even though he's gained security because of the train, he doesn't have to worry about, wild beasts, animals. Doesn't have to worry about food because they have it on the train if it's a long trip. About nutrition or taking a shit, it's all there, right? But in exchange for that, he loses all his power and might. So that's an example that Carlo Michelstaedter gives in his book called Persuasion and Rhetoric, which is my favorite, probably my favorite book next to Dasein is No Longer Human. Those two books have really shaped my worldview, but it's just really awe-inspiring, the writing. So I figured out how to record and read notes. I'm a genius. So let me just quote you some stuff that I really liked. Right, just a quick point of logic. When I say like cure then the disease, of course, chronologically the disease comes first and then they offer you the cure. But what I'm trying to say is that it's a kind of paradox. The two are kind of entangled into each other, right? So that when you get the disease, the cure is somehow already implicit in it, right? So if they make you fat, they already have all the fucking health programs prepared for you to try. So that's what I mean when I say first the cure, then the disease. Of course, you get the disease first, but on the condition that you get the cure, which is already the disease, right? So it's a kind of they are entangled with each other. That's what I mean to say. Right, I'm gonna read you some of the quotes now that I've jotted down. This is a glasses situation, so here goes. His coming to mortal life, his birth, is in the will of others. The fulcrum on which he turns is given him, and given him are the things he calls his own. There is no greater power than that which turns its own weakness into strength. Security is easy, but that much harder. All progresses of civilization are regresses for the individual. But society eliminates every danger whose defeat requires one's entire intelligent and tenacious strain, the engagement of the entire self for survival, substituting instead either security or irreparable misfortunes. Because of this, men do not triumph or succumb in battle, but find themselves either safe or dead. Thus, a comfort is created for the ill that the society has made endemic. Every substitution of machines for manual work dulls by that amount the hands of man. The eyes will end by not seeing what they would see in vain. the ears by not hearing what they would hear in vain. The body will disintegrate, emptying itself. The signs that life is out of focus are nervous disorders, of which society seems almost to boast. Speaking the voice of his own pain, he will speak to them the distant voice of their own pain. I think that's all I want for now. Look, they marked where the pothole is, so that we can all see where it is. So generous. Then you don't have to fix it.